Next Tuesday marks 40 years since an Australian crew made history, snatching the America's Cup from its home country after 132 years. Joining us now is America's Cup winner, Skip Lissiman. Skip, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Gosh, can you believe it's been 4 decades since that moment? Tell us what stands out in your memory of that day. What's your overwhelming emotion when you think back to that moment?
Well, the initial feeling once we crossed the finishing line to win the America's Cup then was the feeling of relief. As we crossed the finishing line, the feeling of elation didn't kick in until a little bit later. But it was certainly a very memorable day. There's no doubt about that.
And memorable for the whole nation. Why do you think that victory meant so much for Australia and Australians at the time? I mean, sailing, it can be seen as a pretty niche sport, I guess, but this was a win that all Australians really were so excited to jump on the bandwagon for.
Well, in the early 1980s, Australia was a little bit down in the dumps. It had fairly high unemployment. The inflation was fairly high. Bob Hawke had just taken over as Prime Minister and he was trying to regenerate a bit of interest in the country. So for a little country like Australia to go all the way halfway around the world to Newport, Rhode Island and beat the Americans at their own game, sailing on their home waters and breaking the longest winning streak in sporting history, where the Americans had held the America's Cup for 132 years, it's just a great underdog setting to lead into the final event, particularly when Australia 2 in our team, we were 3-1 down at one stage. So we're basically at match point for a week. So that sort of certainly got the everyday interest from most Australians to see, really watch the event and take it all in.
And how did it change the direction of your life, Skip? Tell us, do you still get out on the water? Do you still love it?
Oh, I still get out on the water and I love a sail. You know, I'm on the board of Australian Sailing, so I'm very much involved in the administration of the sport and so forth, which is a voluntary role. So I still work and I work with my daughter, Poppy. And, you know, so the sailing side of it really takes second preference at the moment, or secondary to, you know, work. So it's still a fun sport and it's a cradle to grave sport. So we encourage anyone that's interested in getting into sailing, get out there and have a go.
And are you still in contact with your old teammates? Do you get to catch up with them pretty regularly? How are you all going to be celebrating this milestone over the next few days?
Well, all of the team that can make it are coming to Perth this weekend, and the West Australian government have really got behind the celebrations, and there's planned quite a number of activities over starting this weekend with a concert and a drone show once the sun sets. Then we've got quite a number of functions at the WA Maritime Museum, where Australia 2 is housed at the moment. And the WA Museum has put on a terrific display there at the Maritime Museum, which is just world class. Then on top of that, the Royal Perth Yacht Club, which is our challenging cup from 1983, is hosting a major dinner. And the Premier, the Governor are all coming along to that dinner. So it'll be really good.
Yeah, look, seeing the Australia 2 at the Maritime Museum is a real experience. I took my kids a few months ago, and it really is worth seeing for anyone visiting Perth or here in Perth. Skip, tell me, what is it about sailing for people who have never had the opportunity to get out on the water like you have and have the sort of love for that sport that you do? What is it about sailing that seems to just get people so obsessed with it when they get into it?
Well, I think it's partly the adventure. There is no track that you follow. You get out on the water and you basically can go in any direction you want, except straight into the wind. And it's the adventure of it. You can sail across oceans, you can sail across rivers, you can race, you can cruise, you can just have fun, you can relax. It just covers everything. And it's just a terrific way for kids who are really constrained in, you know, be careful at the park and don't do this and don't do that, to jump on the water and make their own decisions about where they go and what they do. And it's just a great relief and release for them to just have some freedom to really not be constrained.
Yeah, so important, especially these days. Skip, really a pleasure speaking with you. Enjoy the celebrations. 4 decades on, remarkable to think that so much time has passed since that amazing victory. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye now.